Hi there, welcome back to my channel. My name is Julie, and I think I have a problem with glitter paper. I don't know about you guys, but I cannot resist getting glitter paper. And it's accumulated over the years. You're looking at a pile here on my desk, and honestly, this has been over 10 years that I've been collecting it. I have used some of it. I swear I've used some of it, but you can see here that I still have quite a bit of it. Now, if you've caught my last video that I posted on cardstock, it kind of inspired me to clean up my glitter paper because I'm about to do a really big move. I'm currently in the basement and I'm moving upstairs, and I don't want to bring stuff that I don't need. So I'm going to go back to my envelopes here, and I am going to store my glitter paper. Now, if you caught my other video, you will notice that this system is a little different, and I'll explain why. First thing I did is I took a circle, and I used this one. It's got a little stitch on it. You don't need to do that. I just thought it was a little cute, but this measures 1 3/4. You could probably get away with a 2-inch circle as well. And what I did is I went through, I had bags of tiny little scraps, and I cut a circle for each of the colors. I folded each of those little circles in half, and I glued them very much like I did my tabs with red line tape. But this time here, I have a variety of different specialty papers in my envelope right here. So of course, I kind of stick to a color family, and then I even put in all of my scraps. The labeling for these are somewhat different because I wasn't able to print directly on the specialty paper. So what I have here is just a little label inside, and I've labeled them the way they appear on the side here. So I've got a variety of colors, and you can see that it's nice and full. Now again, here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I've got rows here of 7, and I'm going to go through this entire pack of glitter paper, specialty paper, and I'm going to condense them once again in one of these envelopes. Now, these envelopes may not be your jam. It may not be something that you want to invest in right now, but for me, I'm at a stage in my scrapbooking that I do want to invest in this product. As you can see here, I have kept my glitter paper in just plain old bags for a very long time, and that worked really well. But now I'm ready to move on to this new system, and I'm just trying to give you ideas, and hopefully you can implement some of them in your crafty space. So you can see that I have a generous amount of glitter paper in here, and I went through quite a bit of plastic bags and condensed them all in here. Now for the holographic paper, because it does scratch, I want to make sure to add that, and it's going to be at the back here so that it is nice and smooth and doesn't get damaged. So here we go. Doesn't that look pretty? So I've got all of my glitter paper in here, and yes, I will close the flap for this one. And the next step that I need to do is I need to add these colors right here, and I'm going to add myself a little label. I'm just making that on my computer, and I'm going to add that to the front so that I know exactly what's in there. The next step here, I am scoring right in the center of those little circles. I'm folding them in half. This really helps when you are trying to line them up on the edge of the plastic envelope. And then here I'm adding a little bit of red line tape, and when I say a little bit, I was being frugal. I was just putting some right at the tip, and I'm going horizontally across the circle. Now, spoiler alert here, this did not work, and you're going to have to stick around until the end to see that I had to change, and I had to redo all of my circles. So I'm going to share with you my fail so that you can learn from my mistakes and go through this process much, much quicker. Isn't this so pretty? You've got all this glitter goodness and the holographic paper. I'm going to make a point to add this to the bottom of each of my packs. Now this is quite full. I haven't counted exactly how many sheets I have in here. Let's bring back the silver and white. So here I have my silver and my white. And you can tell that this is going to be another very pretty solution for storing all of my glitter paper, and I think I'm going to be able to minimize the space it takes. I'm going to go through all of the colors. I'm going to show you how pretty this is going to look on the Expedite, and I'm also going to show you how I store my retired cardstock, because I did have a few questions on that. What I'm doing in my craft room right now is I'm organizing my paper, my specialty paper, my cardstock, all of that good stuff. I'm concentrating on that so that I can micro organize everything. Last year when I did my organization tour, I went over a huge purge, and now it's more manageable, and I can add a little bit of flair to my organization, and I really like the way that this looks. So I'm going to keep on keeping on, and then I will show you how it looks on the shelf. And if you're interested in seeing how I store my retired cardstock, I will show that as well. Well, I wanted to give you an update on my progress, and I wanted to show you what's happened. Now, I've been asked, how many hours do you spend on organizing your cardstock, or in this case here, my specialty paper? And basically it's a couple of hours on different days, and I came back down and realized that my little circles here were popping off the plastic. And I did use red line tape, and it did work for my other organizational solution, but not so much for this one. And you probably spotted it. I didn't, because I just wanted to get this done. There's two things. One, I did mention that my craft room is in the basement and it's quite cold, so that could be a problem. And two, I definitely overstuffed these envelopes, and you can see here, do you see how this is opening right here? Now I realized that this is an investment, and I was trying to find a way to add more than one type of paper per envelope, but definitely not using the product the way it was intended to be used. And because these are an investment, I really don't want to break them, and I can see that I overstuff them, and I'm creating stress on these plastic envelopes. So I am going to remove my little circles, and we're going to change things up. I am definitely going to separate this into two, and you can see that when they are not all stressed out, they are nice and flat. So definitely learn from my mistake and try not to repeat this by overstuffing your envelopes. I am going to peel these off, and I wanted to show you how easy they come off. They don't damage the plastic, so that was something that I really liked. I'm now going to have two envelopes for this color family right here. And these two here are really close together, so I am going to only show 3 of the circles. Now you can see that even if I have a little bit of glue from my red line, I can just rub it off, and it comes off really, really nicely. So let's pull these out. I have no idea how many I have in here, but definitely it was too much. Especially with glitter paper and specialty paper, it is a little bit thicker. So that was, I don't know how many in here, but too much for these envelopes. I am going to change my little label here, and I'll show you how I make that. I'm actually glad that I use this system because this is an easy switch. These are little flip-flaps. They are 2 by 2, and if I gently pull back on them, they are very, very sticky. I will be able to reuse it, but I've got some glue residue right here. You can use undo to remove the glue, and it will not damage these plastic sleeves. So I am happy that they are quite durable, because I did kind of made a mistake by overstuffing them. You can see here that there was quite a bit of stress on the corners, so we are going to start anew. For my labels, I basically just go into Canva. I pull out a 4x6 template and I just created myself a little square that is 2x2 and I type them all in. I'm going to cut them down with my little Friskar right here. So this one here has been used, but I can use it again. So I'm going to pull this one out and I am going to add the new one in. And that's as simple as that. I'll show you on a new one. With the flip flap open towards you, you just pop that right inside and we are going to put these backwards. So let me show you that. I like to put them nice and close. So this is facing me. I've got the sticky part right here. I'm lining it up with the edge of the envelope and the fold in the flap. Now this one here is a reused one, so I'm going to burnish that in. And then when I flip this over, I've got my little list just like that. For the next step, very much the same way I started originally, I'm going to cut a little circle and I am using scraps to do this. This is now a bigger size. And I feel that the bigger size is going to wrap around the sleeve a little bit better, so it will stay down. This circle measures 2 1/4, or just shy of 2 1/4. Basically what I've done is I've went through the scraps that I had, and I am just going to die cut a new circle, which is bigger. And hopefully that is going to work. Now, I did work on this previously and I came back down today and so far so good. Nothing is popping off and it is staying put. So I think that by minimizing the amount that I was trying to put in here and by increasing the size of my circle, and also I'll show you just in a moment how I changed the way I put the red line tape on here. Hopefully you will learn from my mistakes, and when you try and do your own sorting of whatever it is, pattern paper, just cardstock, anything like that, you will know that if you're using these types of envelopes, overstuffing them, as much as I wanted to do that to save on not having to purchase so many, it is not a good solution. And I'm trying to have a solution here that's going to be long lasting. I didn't mind coming back and fixing this because I really do like the look of it. And I also know that these are nice and sturdy and they're going to keep all of my glitter paper intact. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to cut these circles here and then I'll show you the next step. The next step in this process, I like to score my little circles. You can just fold them, but I found that by scoring them, you have a nice crease. It also helps when you add the red line tape, and I'll show you that in a moment. So this is a 2 1/4, so I am going 1 1/8, and I am just quickly scoring all of these little circles, which are much bigger now. And they stay put, and that was important. I also like to see a real sample if you want, and I not just go into the catalog to see the color. I can actually see the perfect color when I'm doing it this way. We're going to add the red line tape, and again, learn from my mistake. And I do have a little bit of an assembly system now, so I'm looking for that score line that I did, and I'm actually going to run this across. The reason for that is I can go all the way to the edge of the circle, and it really does help to keep the circle down. I'm going in the center first because these are straight cuts. So I'm looking for the center, And I'm going right in the center of that circle. I'm crossing my score line. So I've got all of my centers. And then when you go to the sides, so this one here, I can't really go to the side all that much, but I can cut this on an angle. And then I can use that angle and go on the other side. And again, the reason why is because I'm trying to go as close to the edge as possible to keep the circle in place and prevent it from popping. If you're not in a cold climate, this probably is not going to happen, but if you do live in a cold climate, this might be a problem. So I thought that I would share what I've learned during this process of sorting out my glitter paper and adhering these little circles onto plastic. Okay, so they are all ready to go. I like to give them a little burnish. That way it's easier to remove the plastic backing. And I will show you how I add them to my envelopes, and then I'll show you how much of a difference it makes to not overstuff your envelopes. One thing that you will notice is that right now I don't have them going all the way down. I've actually went into the center and they're all in the center. But do you see how nice and flat this is? It is not causing stress on the envelope, and it's actually easier for me to go in here and to look at my colors. The other thing I'm doing is I'm putting the first color so that I can see it. The next two, I'm putting them just in the back and I'm showing the white. And then I'm slipping in all of my scraps. The reason for that is when you want to reach in for a scrap, you don't want to go in here and look if you have a scrap of this particular color. You just want to see them. So I felt that by flipping the glitter paper on the back side to see the white, when I popped in all of my scrap pieces, it was much easier to see, and they're very easy to pull out and actually use them. I do close these, and then I'm going to do very much like I did for my cardstock. You can see here that this was so full that it was really, really damaging the envelope. And I don't want you to damage your envelopes if you're investing in this system, because that is not fun. So we're going to start in the center. I'm going to remove the red line tape. I'm going to give it a little fold. And then I'm going to pop this right in line with the previous one. So you only have to measure the first one, and then you can just line them up. I do push nice and firmly. If this wasn't glitter paper, I would actually burnish that in, but because it's glitter paper and specialty paper, I don't want to damage it, so I am not going to do that. I'm going to fold this on my crease line, so you can see that that crease line does play a role in how I'm placing them in here. You can see that with the circle being larger, it does fold around the edges much nicer, and there's more to hold on to so they don't pop. I'm going to push on them, and then I'm going to bring in my glitter paper. When I have specialty paper, I always make sure that it's either at the front or at the back, because the glitter paper will scratch this paper right here. So now you can see that this is nice and white. I've got a lot of pieces that I can tuck in, and I'm actually going to tuck in again my specialty paper, my holographic paper. I'm going to tuck that in at the front only because it does scratch, and I was actually damaging all of these pieces. I feel that now that they're in a more sturdy envelope, I will be able to see them better and use them. So these are the exception to the rule where I put them in the front, but again, they're right at the front so I can reach in and grab my scraps. And if I'm going to have a problem with any of my envelopes, it's definitely going to be this one. But I did take the time to count, and I have 24 full sheets of glitter paper. And glitter paper will take up more space because it's definitely thicker. But I was trying to add in even more by adding all of these colors in here. So this is what it looks like now. And you can see the difference between them, and I don't want to overload them. So I'm going to add these on my shelf. I'm going to continue on this process. I have one more series of colors to do. I will show you what they look like on the Expedite, and I'll also show you what I do with my retired cardstock. Before I take you to the Expedite, I also wanted to share with you how I store when I have more papers such as white, craft, black core, and black cardstock with white core. I don't know if you can see that, but I did sand distress this one a tiny little bit just so that I could see the difference between the two blacks. These are going to go in an old style cropper hopper because I've been able to condense quite a bit with my glitter paper system, and now I can add these that are a little bit more bulkier. Again, I would try and stay to about 24 sheets. You could probably put in more of the cardstock. This is not, it doesn't seem to cause as much stress as the glitter paper did. But let's take a look now on how much space I saved and how this looks. Let's take a look at the cardstock, the glitter paper, and all of that goodness. Now, if you watch the video that I posted on my cardstock, you will see that I was taking up 2 full cubes for my glitter paper and my cardstock, and now it's all been organized. This is my specialty paper, and I really like seeing the true sample of what I have in here. And then a few people had mentioned that these kind of slip inside of the Expedite if they're not all nice and condensed. So I have one of those cropper hoppers. This is where I put my white cardstock, my craft cardstock, my black, true black, and then my black with the white core. Now you can see that I still have some sorting to do, definitely, but we are well on our way. Now the next thing I have to do is empty this entire unit. I am moving my scrapbooking room to the upper level, and I'm gonna have to empty and disassemble this Expedite. So if you have any tips on how to disassemble and put this back together, please leave them in the comment because I'm not looking forward to doing that at all. Now let's walk down here where it's not so pretty. This is where I keep my retired cardstock. Let me just move my chair out of the way. And underneath here is where I keep my retired cardstock. Let's give it a pull. So you can see under my desk, I have a heater. I have my bug out bag when I go to crops. And then this is a crate that I've picked up at Staples. It's on rollers. And I do reuse my plastic bags. And this time around, what's nice about it is that they're all labeled. So this is where I keep all of my retired cardstock, and they fit. If I can find exactly the crate that I purchased, because this was purchased a very long time ago, I will link it in the description box below. But I find that because this is out of the way, keeping them in bags is definitely the way to go. As you can see, this crate is not overflowing and everything is labeled and everything is in bags. What I like about this system is that now that, let me just pan over here, and you can see there is a mess because I'm trying to move upstairs. Now that I've got all of this in individual sleeves and I have my scraps in here, I'll be able to move that into a plastic bag and move it down here, and the scraps will be with it. So I think that that's going to be a really good system for me, and it has a little bit more longevity. So hopefully I've given you ideas on how to store your cardstock, your specialty paper, and even your retired cardstock. Well, that's it for me today. I hope that I've given you a lot to think about when storing cardstock and paper. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video and you'll give some of these ideas a try. I'll see you next time. Bye for now. If you're looking for a time-saving tool when scrapbooking, the creative design team have just launched our brand new sketchbook. It has 42 gorgeous sketches. The link is in the description box down below. If you're interested in watching my video on how I organized all of my cardstock, click on this link right here. See you there.